Hi, Wellness Warriors. I'm Melissa with Mental Muscle Wellness, and today I have a handy hack that will teach you how to use your sneakers to help you find and identify your gait pattern. So I have a post up on my blog, and I will link it down in the description box about what exactly gait pattern is. And it does go into more detail than I'm going to in the video. But basically, gait pattern is just a fancy biomechanical way of describing how our feet move when we're walking or running. The basics of it is we essentially hit the ground with the heel of our foot, and then our foot sort of rolls and we push off by our toes. And depending on how you're actually striking the ground, whether you're walking or you're running, and your body's basic general anatomy, there can be different gait patterns. And the important thing if you're exercising is to have at least a general idea of what your gait pattern is, because it will help you identify what types of sneakers that you want to be purchasing. Now, again, the important thing here is not that you have to go run out and find a specialty running store and have a gait analysis done. Although, if you are doing high intensity or high volume type exercises, so in other words, if you are a runner who is running a lot of miles, or if you're strength training and you're lifting very heavy weight, I would encourage you to have that analysis done, because it can get very technical very, very quickly. And there are very small little adjustments that you can make if you're doing that kind of training that will have a huge impact. However, if you're just the average exerciser and maybe you're running a few miles a week, or you want to get into things, or you're doing a lot of different types of exercise or activity. You're doing some cardio, some strength training, some flexibility work. You just really need to have a general idea of what your gait pattern is. The only caveat to that rule would be is if you have a tendency to have a lot of injuries, in which case then I would also suggest going to have an official gait analysis done somewhere. But again, if you're just a general exerciser, doing a lot of different things, or you're not necessarily looking to do high volume or high intensity, just having an idea of what your feet are doing when you're moving around will probably suit you just fine. And the only thing that you're going to need to learn how to do this are your sneakers, preferably a pair that's actually older, because it's easier to see. So I have this handy little pair right here. This is actually my husband's pair, because my pair are so old and cruddy I didn't want to put them on camera. But whatever sneakers you're typically wearing when you exercise will suit you just fine. So what you're going to want to do is you're actually going to want to turn your sneakers over, and you're going to want to look at the treads on the bottom of your sneakers. Okay? And essentially what you need to know is, again, normal basic gait pattern. You're striking the ground with your heel, and your foot rolls forward across the arch and then up towards your toe. In a neutral gait pattern, you strike at mid-heel, your foot rolls a little bit towards the inside, and you toe off at about your second or third toe. It's a common misconception that you are actually pushing off with your big toe when you're walking or running. In an ideal gait pattern, you actually want to be pushing off with your foot in the middle of your foot. It uses the structure of your foot and the power generation most advantageously. If you are what we call an under pronator, what that means is that your foot doesn't roll inwards. So you're striking the ground at your heel, and rather than toeing off at your second or third toe, you're actually pushing off with your fourth or your pinky toe. So what you'll notice if you are an under pronator is that the wear pattern on the bottom of your sneakers actually runs along this outer edge. Okay, you'll notice that that's where the tread looks to be most worn. You'll notice that that's where it's the thinnest or the most compressed, especially if you're wearing running shoes with the gel or the air cushion in there, that's where the shoe actually squishes down the most. So if you're noticing that pattern on the bottom of your shoes, again, we would typically call that an under pronator, and the shoe that you would want to look for would have a little bit of extra cushion in it. This part of your foot is very bony and hard, and it's not necessarily meant to take that kind of pressure, again, especially if you're running a lot of miles. So you're going to want a shoe that provides a little bit of extra cushion right there. On the other end of the spectrum, you can also be an overpronator. And if that's the case, what happens is you still strike on the heel of your foot, but your foot rolls excessively towards the inside, which means that you're actually rolling this way and toe off is occurring closer to your big toe. So the wear pattern on the bottom of your shoe, if you are an over pronator, you're going to see a lot of wear at the heel, and you're actually going to see a lot of wear up here at the ball of your big toe. And again, that's indicating that what's happening is that your foot is actually rolling too much to the inside. And if you are an overpronator, you're going to want to look for a shoe that says motion control on it. And again, the idea there is that the shoe is built with internal structure that is actually going to keep your foot or help your foot remain in a more neutral toe-off position. We want that, again, because that's most advantageous. It creates the most power. Okay? So again, to review, you can have a neutral gait or a neutral pattern, in which case you'll see the wear almost down the middle of your shoe, and that's what you want to see. You can be an underpronator, in which case you'll see a lot of wear along the outside of your treads, or you can be an overpronator, in which case you'll see the wear at the heel and the ball of your big toe on your shoe. So I hope this was helpful, and the next time you buy sneakers, please make sure to keep your gait pattern in mind. And until next time, be well, friends.